So thank you so much on behalf of Setsi Ashima for coming on today and being a part of our community of practice. We want to thank you so much for all that you do and your amazing leadership today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. So, as always, we begin by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn together for our collective liberation. So, if you can please do us the honors by introducing yourself to our listeners and viewers and tell us about your amazing work.
Yes. So, hello, my name is Ashima. I am a lawyer turned angel investor, and really, I work at the intersections of venture tech and business. I am super passionate about democratizing access to capital, championing underrepresented voices, and cultivating spaces for the world's innovators, or as I like to sometimes say it, the world's troublemakers. And really, I do this as the founder of Ashima Awakening. We have three pillars. The first is one-to-one and group holistic wellness cohorts, which include meditation, yoga, and somatic movement. The second is strategic mentorship, really for a portfolio that's been growing. I've been working with over 15 early stage ventures in Canada that are raising a pre-seed to seed round. And then the third pillar, I would say, is a community of practice that in very real time is being built and is coming to fruition. It's called The Table, and it's for like-minded and impact-driven women in leadership to connect, to learn, and evolve. And so when I think about what would be kind of the caveats when it comes to the work that I've been doing with The Table, it's creating community and space for women in leadership. I think the second would be ensuring that the spaces we create are really intentionally designed for those who have been historically underestimated and undervalued. And then the third is facilitating conversations on impactful topics. And so, like, really digging deeper beyond what do you do to get to the nitty-gritty of understanding and getting to know people. And I'm also the community manager at Toast, which is a membership-based collective for women's collective for women in tech, and really founded to flip the hiring dynamic in favor of women in tech. And so we really provide a platform for mentorship, for growth, and for community. And what I'm really involved in is establishing partnerships and then planning member meetups as well. And then finally, I sit on the board of Obsidian Theatre Company. Obsidian is Canada's leading culturally specific theatre company. And really our mission is to produce plays, develop playwrights, train emerging theatre professionals with the understanding and the acknowledgement of the Black voice. And so really predominantly the playwrights, the choreographers, the artists that we work with come from the Black diaspora. And I find that work to be also incredibly fulfilling. I've been on the board for, I want to say, over 4 to 5 years now. And so that's a little bit about the work that I do.
Wow, it's so explosive. I want to congratulate you on all the things that you're accomplishing thus far. It's this is the inspiration that we need in this time, the building of mind, body, and spirit. You're tying everything in together. So, amazing. And what inspires you about your current work? And could you just like articulate your mission and vision if you can tie that in for us?
Yeah, this is such a great question. There's so many things that inspire me about my work, and it's so interesting when Victor sent me these questions, I was thinking about, like, quite literally, I wrote down, these are the things that fill my cup. What is underlying all of them? And I feel like the number one thing for me is in connection. So the interconnectedness of the communities that I work with, bringing people together to connect, establishing connections, connecting with other people, being the connector for people. And I say that because I've just seen such positive ripple effects that have come from connections that I've made for people and connections that other people have made for me. And I think about this in a very real way, something that I think in my personal life I've been really changing my mindset around is likes and comments. So, for example, on LinkedIn, a post of mine getting, let's say, 60 likes and 15 comments. I've started to imagine, what if I was in an auditorium of 60 people who came to see me, hear me speak, listen to my voice, listen to what I have to say, and 15 of those people raised their hands, let's say, to ask questions or talk about how valuable what I shared was. And so I think knowing that I've impacted, let's say in that analogy or in that metaphor, 60 people, I think is powerful. Knowing that I've even impacted one person is powerful, because the thing about connection is what people go and do from that. Recently, two people I had met at two separate events that I had hosted. I recruited them into a program that I was leading, and the investor from that group has now joined and has been onboarded onto the team of the founder that I connected them with. And like, I think of just the countless women who I've met at events and onboarded them into a cohort, into an experience, into something that I'm doing, because we connected on being immigrants, because we connected on what we were taught about wealth, because we connected on certain childhood and cultural differences that we had. And so I think that leads me into my second piece, and even coming back to your question of like, what is my mission and my ethos? And I think for me, it's being the person who I wish I had seen growing up. Representation in so many parts of my life has continued to come through, of representation, like how much seeing myself represented mattered to me and how much it matters to others. The amount of times that I've heard, like, I've been searching for a brown woman mentor for a year, or I've wanted to be mentored by someone who looked like me, or I don't see anyone that looks like me. I've followed XYZ path or done XYZ thing, and seeing you navigate it, I want to be able to hear about your experience or learn about your experience. I often share that when I pivoted from law into VC, I felt like a total outsider, like all the terms, all the jargon, the countless times that I thought that this must not be for me or I don't belong in the space. Every single woman that I have spoken to has shared some type of experience around that, of not feeling like they belong. And I really think that that's why I do what I do. That's what really inspires my work. And like, continuously, even when things get challenging, I feel like that's the through line that really brings me back to my core value of, again, being the person that I didn't see growing up, and being able to be the dot connector, so that other people can create ripple effects, and so that other people can also stand and be the representation and the champion for others as well.
Fantastic. I see you as like, you are the solution finder. You take that problem and you switch it to an actual solution. You don't make things, what others would call like something negative. Or I'll give you an example. There's this young girl. She's like, oh, I'm on TikTok. I'm stuck in the 200-person jail. She can't get above 200 people. But she's like, you know what? I flipped my mindset, and if I was to invite all those 200 people in this room, they wouldn't fit,
Exactly.
So she changed her mindset, and now she's grateful, and you should see her skyrocketing to this day. So you remind me of that scenario. So very, very good. We need more of you for sure. So amazing. So now on the other, that side, as far as any challenges or barriers that you've gone through, and how have you worked to overcome them?
Yeah. So I think the first, I'm sure, many people that you've interviewed have mentioned capital whether that's human capital, monetary capital, the various forms of capital that we need to scale and expand. I think that's the first one that I would kind of put out there. The second one I really think would be mindset. And I say that because we all know the stat about, how less than 2% of women receive VC funding. Recently, the Financial Post, they also put out an article that said that between the years of 2016 to 2021, the gender pay gap actually tripled in the tech sector in Canada. And even when we talk about women, of course, Black women, it's like 0.0. I mean, it's abysmal to even mention what the stat is. And so when I mention mindset, and even I would say segueing from the last question, how do we use these data, statistics, metrics? How do we use this information to create more possibility? So not bypassing these statistics, and again, how appalling, abysmal they are, but using our power, our privilege to move the dial and surround ourselves with people who are moving the dial, whether that's working together, partnerships, collaborations, rather than working in silos. And so really, I think that there needs to be a mindset shift around what these statistics and metrics and data represent, and how are we using our platform to actually, again, move the dial, change by working together and working in community rather than working individualistically. I think that leads into kind of the next thing that I would say is there's a lot of noise out there. And I know that even, when I transitioned from law into VC, as I've been growing my own network, as I've been meeting more people, I think that there's a certain sense of filtering that we learn throughout our lives to do by practicing discernment. So whether you're seeking feedback, whether you're getting help, whether you're reaching out to investors, asking for mentorship, going to networking events, joining a networking group, really practicing discernment in the feedback that you're receiving or in the types of people that you're speaking to, and always relating it back to a sense of alignment when it's related to your core values, whether that's the core values of your business or your personal core values. The other thing that I would say is, we've all been told no. I received a ton of rejection in my life. I always think about rejection as redirection. And again, not bypassing the pain that can often come with getting a no. But one thing that I've learned, and this is a concept that Kenneth Berger, the first product manager at Slack, he shared, was he shared two things. So he said that there's a power in saying no and receiving a no. And so this means not under accepting or over accepting it. Under accepting being when you treat it as invalid or refuse to, let's say, learn from the experience. And then over accepting is when you treat it as too valid, to the point where you assume that you'll only ever hear no, or the no means, something about you, or you should stop, let's say, like asking for things, because now that you've received a no, that means that nothing, will work out. When you hear a no, being able to learn from the experience, being able to understand and learn from the experience, kind of navigate and understand what's coming out of it, like what is here for you. And then being able to, I feel like, push forward with the understanding of, okay, how can I work with this and change what I do next time? Or, and kind of going back to my previous point, like filter out what is here for me to be able to learn from this experience and then progress and navigate or explore or plan or strategize or execute my next steps. The other thing I would really say is coming back to feedback, I feel like, especially as women, we receive a lot of feedback on a variety of different things. And I feel like feedback for women in leadership roles sometimes, oftentimes, comes with added layers of personal critique about style or the way that we're delivering something rather than, let's say, the substance of the content itself. And I think what I've really learned to do, and I think that this is going to be lifelong for me, is learning to, I feel like, really interpret this feedback and decide how to respond to it, I think is really crucial. So I wholeheartedly believe that it's okay to filter feedback and decide whether it aligns with your values and aligns with your goals. And I think, this is something that I'm sure you're noticing, hearing in this conversation is core goals, core values, and alignment. I feel like those are really what keeps us grounded in moments, through the tough things, through challenges, through barriers, to always revert back to, what are my core values? What are the core values of my business? How is this for me? What are the learnings here? And what aligned steps can I take to resolve this situation, to seek additional feedback, to re-strategize my next steps, to build another blueprint? I really think core values and alignment is, if I were to turn this piece into like, what are the things that I always come back to, or the solutions? I really feel like, yeah, my core values and the way that the situation aligns back to what I'm trying to do, my mission, my purpose, my ethos, is something that I always come back to.
Absolutely. Very, very powerful. I love that. I wrote that rejection is redirection. That is so, so true. And when you have that mindset, that's what really empowers you to push on, because it's not easy. We're not easy hearing that no. And it's another level of mind focus and concentration within yourself to know that let me change that to something that it was meant to be in order for a brighter future ahead of me. So I resonate with everything that you're saying. And I know people who are listening to this are going to really value this very highly. So thank you. So what are you working on currently right now?
Yes, lots of exciting things. So I would say when it comes to maybe maybe I can start with at Toast. So at Toast, really our key priorities are creating a more like a stronger business operation. We spent year one holding on to kind of this rocket ship, and year two has been about experimenting and seeing what works. I think our next year will be super focused on the impact that we make and ensuring that we're creating and scaling sustainably. So I think that sustainable piece is really going to come into year three. When it comes to the table and when it comes to this community of practice for women in leadership, really our mission is to unite over 100 women in leadership yearly who are committed to creating equitable access to knowledge that really has the power to influence and impact change in their networks and in their communities. So when I break that down even further as to what that looks like, I think really our key priority at the moment is data collection and analysis. So using AI to collect data related to values, related to impact and leadership, via our proprietary questionnaire that we're building out. All of the experiences that we're also putting together will differ really based upon the questionnaire results and insights. And so everything from the event locations to the menus to the decor, we want to be expertly themed and tailored to really provide that one-of-a-kind experience. And then our data matching and storytelling insights really support also the unique conversations and the unique conversation starters that we want to be creating to really focus on areas, topics, themes that all center around our main concept and main question of what do you bring to the table? as women, all of us have kind of heard that, again, in some different shape, form, capacity. And so the idea of this community of practice is centered around that question of what do you bring to the table? And so how can we use the data that we're collecting that goes beyond, again, what do you do, the titles, to dig deeper and have conversations that may sometimes be uncomfortable or talk about certain topics or themes, but I think that are really important when they're done intentionally and mindfully in community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. So if I can ask, what's your ultimate goal and what does success look like to you?
Leading with curiosity has always been a part of, like, I would say my blueprint, my blueprint to ultimately finding what fulfills my cup. And so whether it's in high moments or challenging ones, relating what's happening back to my core values through asking questions, being curious about what's coming up and why, has, I think, truly always been a part of my process. And some of the questions that I do think about specific to the work that I'm doing and the work that I'm building is, how am I engaging and interacting with the work? How are people interacting and engaging with the work that I'm doing? What is the impact of my work, of my actions, of my inactions, of my learning, of my unlearning? And then again, what is the ripple effect of that? I also think execution is really a part of success and is so inherently tied to success. Like the tangible implementation of plans, I think is what drives success, because without strong execution, even I think the best strategies would not be able to succeed. And so this means, and has so often looked like, getting my hands dirty, tackling, mundane, sometimes tedious aspects of the work, dealing with rejection, dealing with, hearing a no, not necessarily, again, coming back to the concept of the table, being invited to the table, that coveted invite, that sometimes we don't often receive. And so I think successful execution allows you to learn from both your triumphs, from your setbacks, and it enables you to actually refine and improve your strategy over time. So I really think that it's through making mistakes that we can learn what to do better or improve on next. And that only comes with execution. I also feel like execution, sometimes there's a fear of making the wrong move, of doing the wrong thing. And how are we using execution to also stretch and expand our awareness and our cognizance and our tolerance of risk? I think that's another thing that I know personally I've been working on. I often work on with the teams or the women that I coach is, how are we continuing to stretch that capacity to hold more and that capacity of risk to push through and move through fears being associated, again, with doing the right thing, or if I do X, what if I fail? If I do Y, what if it doesn't work out? And I think the final thing that I would really say when it comes to success and my ultimate goal is belongingness. Like, how is my platform? How is my power? How is my privilege creating and cultivating space for people to feel a sense of belongingness, and people really meaning underestimated, undervalued, underrepresented voices? Again, I really feel like that is a through line in all of the work that I do is truly the sense of belongingness.
Wonderful. That is very impactful. And that's again, that's the type of work that you are doing and really setting that legacy, because I always talk about it's not even about us anymore, it's about the future generation, and so you are really bringing forth new leaders that have that sense of, you know, that sense of belonging. You know what I mean? It's not, you're bridging gaps, from searching for belonging to actually finding a place of belonging and value. So very, very good. All right. So this has been so amazing. So I just have one more question for you, and that is, what is your closing thoughts and calls to actions at this time?
Yes, I'll keep this super super short and sweet. I feel like it's yeah, something that like truly I remind myself every day. And when it comes to making decisions, when it comes to whether it's like career, whether it's jobs, whether it's even personally in relationships, I always aim for a hell yes. And that like that complete 100% yes, rather than settling for anything less. And so I really think that when it comes to, yeah, what I would just leave the audience with, and this incredible conversation is not settling for anything less, really aiming for that, like, what is that just fulfilling 100%, this is what you want, this is what the other person wants, that type of yes, and not settling for anything less than that.
That's right. Well, when you have somebody like yourself that's cheering on and rooting on for community and for, women who really want to express themselves, whether it's in tech or, wherever they feel that they're most valued and they're, I always say like it's really reaching and finding your purpose, taking your, whether it's a career choice or whatever, but you put purpose and you put passion behind it, because that's when you'll see the greatest outcome. And I see that's what you are doing currently, and we thank you for that. And on behalf of SETS, we really thank you for today. Your true leadership. This is what collaboration is all about, really amplifying work that you're doing right now so that it gets out and permeates throughout the universe, so that it touches somebody's life. So once again, we thank you so much for it today, Shima. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, so we will close the way that we began by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So I know this won't be our last meeting. We be in touch with you so we can collaborate and touch some more lives. So thank you once again.
Well, thank you.
All right. So have a wonderful rest of the day. Thanks again.